If you want to become a mobile machine learning expert, then subscribe to this channel and check out our mobile machine learning courses available on Udemy. The discounted coupons are given in the description. So now let's understand the working of neural network with the help of an example. So let's say we want to train a model to predict price of house given its area and the number of rooms. So to do that we have this dataset. So there you can see in this dataset we got the area and the number of rooms, and these are our features. And after that we got the house price, and that is our output or our label. And now to train our deep learning or neural network model on this particular dataset, we are going to pass each row of our dataset to our neural network. So for the first row of our dataset, the house area is 1250 and the number of rooms are 4. And the actual price of that house is 50,000. So now we are going to pass the area and the number of rooms at the input layer. So we are going to pass 1250 for the area and 4 for number of rooms. And after passing the data here at the input layer, the next step is calculating the values of neurons in the next layer. So let's name these neurons as Z1, Z2 and Z3. And now we need to find the values of neurons in the hidden layer. And to calculate these values, we are going to use the value of neurons which are connected with them and the weights joining them. So as I told you earlier that the lines joining these neurons are called weights. So now we have assigned random values to these weights. And to calculate the value of neuron in the hidden layer, we are going to use the value of neuron in the input layer and this weight. So firstly, we are going to calculate the value of Z1, and it will be calculated using this formula. So we are going to take the neuron which is connected with this Z1. So firstly, we are going to take the value of area, and then we are going to multiply it with the weight joining these two neurons. So you can see the weight value is 0.1 for this particular line. So you are going to multiply this 1250 with this 0.1, and there you can see we are doing it. And after that you are going to see if any other neuron is connected with this Z1. So we can see this rooms is also connected. So we are going to take the value of room and multiply it with this weight 0.2. So there you can see we are doing this as well. And after that we are doing the calculations and finding the value 125.8. So that will be the value for this Z1. And using the same formula we are going to calculate the value for Z2 and Z3 as well. So you can see for Z2 we took the value of area and multiplied it with 0.4, and then we multiplied this 4 with 0.1 and we got the value 500.4, and then we did the same for Z3. So to calculate a value of neuron, we are going to use the value of neurons in the previous layer and the weights joining them. And now after finding these values for Z1, Z2 and Z3, the next step is finding the value for this green neuron or the neuron of our output layer. So let's name this neuron Y1. And now to calculate the value for this Y1, we are going to use the same procedure. So we are going to take the value of neuron connected with this Y1 and multiply it with the weight connecting them. So firstly we are going to multiply this 125.8 with this 0.3, and then we are going to take the value of Z2 and multiply it with 0.4, and then this Z3 and multiply it with 0.5, and after calculation we will get the value for this Y1. So the value for this Y1 is 364, and this is actually the prediction for house price. And as we also know the actual price of that house, and it is $50,000. So this predicted value is nowhere close to the actual price. And the reason is right now we have started to train our model, and our model or algorithm knows nothing about the pattern which is there in the data dataset. But when our model training will gonna complete, then our model will gonna know, or it has extracted the pattern from the dataset, and we are going to get correct predictions there. And the reason for this thing is, right now we have assigned random values to these weights. But now, after passing input data to our neural network and getting the predicted value for house price, we are going to compare that price with the actual price of that house. And after that, we are going to update these weights. So now, once the weights will be updated, then the next time when you are going to pass the same values to this neural network, you are going to get an accurate prediction here as compared to our previous prediction. But for now, we have passed input data to our neural network at the input layer, and we have calculated the value of neuron at the output layer. And this process is called feed forwarding. So feed forwarding is the process of passing all your training data to neural network at the input layer and getting the value of neuron at the output layer. And after getting this predicted value, we are going to update these weights. And the process of updating these weights is called backpropagation. So as we are learning about supervised machine learning, so we also know the actual price for that house. So now, after comparing that actual value with this predicted value, we are going to update all of these weights. And this process of updating weights is called backpropagation. And these weights will be updated using a formula which will gonna take both this predicted value of house price and the actual value of house price. And then after doing the calculation, the formula will gonna update these weights. And the process of updating these weights is called backpropagation or learning. And we call it learning because now we are changing the weights based upon the pattern inside our dataset. And later, using these weights, we are going to make our prediction. So the process of updating these weights can be called as learning as well. And once we are going to pass all training data to our neural network, and then based upon the predicted and actual value, we are going to update these weights, we are going to say that we have completed an epoch. So an epoch is actually the process of passing input data to neural network and then updating weights based upon actual and predicted results. Or you can also say that one cycle of feed forwarding and backpropagation is called an epoch. And during training our model, we set this epoch parameter, and we usually set a larger value for this epoch, like you can say 100. So when we will set this epoch to 100, then it means that for training our model, we are going to pass all training data to our neural network 100 times, and then we are going to update these weights 100 times. So during this process, the value for these weights will be changed during each epoch, and at the end of those 100 epochs, our model will be trained. So after passing whole dataset to neural network multiple times, and then by updating the weights, we will get our trained model. And using this model, we can predict price of house in future. And in actual, our trained model contains specific value for weights of neurons, and using these weights, predictions are done. So when we say that we have trained our model using deep learning or neural network, then in actual we mean that we have found the correct values for these weights, and we have found these values by passing input data to neural network, and after that updating the weights by comparing the predicted and actual value. So now after training our model, we can say our neural network will gonna look like this. So here we will get the values for these weights using which we are going to make the prediction. So now after training the model, the next step is testing that model. So for testing the model, we are going to pass inputs at the input layer. But this time we have not passed these inputs during training. Like somebody told me that his house area is 1550 and the number of rooms are 3. And now he want to get the predicted or estimate for his house price. So we are going to pass his area and the number of rooms here, and then using those formulas the values for z1, z2 and z3 will be calculated. And after that, applying the same formula but using these new weights, we are going to calculate the value for y1, and that will be the predicted value of this house price. So that is how a deep learning model is trained using neural network. Or that's how a simple neural network will gonna look like. That it consists of neurons, and these neurons are connected with each other. And for training our model, we are passing all the training data at the input layer, and then the value of neurons in the output layer is calculated. And after that, we are comparing that predicted value with the actual value and updating these weights. And this process is repeated again and again until correct values are set for these weights or our model is trained.